good, everybody? What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Johnny Finesse. Welcome back to the channel. Today we got the end of sentence. Case of Karmelo Anthony, lies, race, and deceit. You know what I'm saying? If you're new to the channel and haven't hit that sub button yet, make sure you hit the sub button. We halfway there at 1,300. Thank you to everybody that has hit that sub button. I really appreciate that, man. It goes a long way. I promise you it does. That being said, let's get into it, man. Oh, and I'd like to thank everybody that's clicked on the video. Thank you. I appreciate that. You could have clicked on any other video, but you clicked on my video, and I really appreciate that. Thank you for the subscription. It's free. Make sure everybody hit the subscribe button. With that being said, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. But my opinion about this, though, I ain't gonna lie. It looks like it's like it's self-defense, but they like he's in like. It just looks like self-defense to me. My opinion is self-defense. Some people will be like, "Oh, why did you bring a knife to school?" I brought a knife. I had like a box cutter for protection in my backpack. I ain't gonna lie. I had it since high school and I had it since college. I had a box for protection. Just a little box cutter, so just in case if some people try to jump me, because I've been jumped before, so it's just in case some people try to jump me, I got something to protect myself with, just to like, you know, back him up a little bit. But it's about how that happened. If the white dude put hands on Karmelo before like, you know, he started poking him, then it's self-defense. If not, then it is what it is. Because the story is Karmelo was sitting in the seat. The white dude pulled up, said move out. I want to sit in that seat. Get out. I want to sit in that seat. He probably said no. Probably put hands on him, started poking him.
Why not notify your parents?
That's what happened.
Run track with other kids and you got a knife on you. No, man, you got to go to jail.
Put in the comment section down below. Tell me what y'all think about it too.
About he had a knife. You damn right. If you a black man living in America, you better be walking around with a talking about he had a knife. You got white boys riding around with guns and y'all crying about a knife.
The hard part that cost me is I lost my son and his brother.
Yeah, when I seen this interview, he looked like he was just trying to move on with it. Like he's trying to get over this shit.
Holding him, trying to hold the blood in, and he passed. My son watched his brother die in his arms.
In my opinion, why he didn't do nothing? Why was he so afraid? Because if I see a family member getting poked up, I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do something about it. At least try.
I need a break.
Like you're not just gonna sit here. You know what I'm saying?
Jeff, first of all.
Whoa.
Watched his brother die in his arms. I need a break.
See, I didn't know he had pictures like this.
Jeff, first of all, my entire heart rests in your
I didn't know you had pictures like that.
In my position.
I didn't know you had pictures like that.
Because
some people, because their parents say he's a good kid, but parents don't see what he do outside. Remember that ball player that got shot and killed? He was a shooter. He killed somebody. Bet you his parents didn't know about it.
It shares the same understanding. I grew up as a 17-year-old young white man too, and I grew up in fear of my life around black people because they were killing and robbing people around me all the time. And I don't understand, as I was a father, you could sit idly by and not condemn the culture that killed your son.
Are you done?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, my turn to speak. You are part of the problem, my friend.
A confrontation between two teens left one dead and the country divided. In this video, we're going.
I think it's self-defense. I ain't gonna lie. Self-defense is wrong that he had a knife.
April 2nd,
but it's like, you know what I'm saying?
It's 10 a.m. when the Staley Middle School.
Like some people don't understand that shit. You're not gonna understand it unless you're black, bro. Really.
School track field. Frisco police would alert nearby officers an athlete was the victim, and the suspect was a black male wearing a gray hoodie and blue sweatpants. The school officer rushed to the stadium where two teens told him the victim was under the Memorial High School tent. Approaching the tent, an adult would point out the suspect, who remained on the track separated from the officer by a chain link fence. The officer commanded the suspect to keep his hands in the air, and the suspect complied, saying, "I was protecting myself." As the officer placed the suspect in handcuffs, the suspect said, "He put his hands on me." The officer sat the suspect on the ground while advising backup over the radio. He had the alleged suspect. The suspect then stated, "I'm not alleged."
He never ran. He never ran.
At this point, the suspect had the right to remain silent. He just didn't
look,
have the ability.
Look. I've been talking to people about this too. It's like, it's seats over there, there's seats over there. You see there's a group of people probably sitting under the tent. I know there's space over here, space over here. Why you want my seat? You know what I'm saying? Why you want my seat? Personally, like, out of all people there, why do you want my seat?
He said, "He put his hands on me. I told him not to." While in the back seat, he then asked officers if the victim was going to be okay. The suspect would identify himself as 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony, a student from Frisco.
Oh, you're a football player too. That's crazy.
Centennial High. While this was going on, athletic trainers along with the Frisco Fire Department were attempting to save the victim. The weather turned to a heavy downpour of rain, causing the fire department to place a tent over the victim. A police officer began using his phone to photograph the crime scene.
So it's like all of these seats right here. Like, I'm not trying to be no dickhead or nothing, but all of these seats right here, but you want mine. Like, I'm not trying to be no dickhead, but it's like, come on.
As others began
Come on,
taping
bro.
off the area,
You had to track me. I run track. What are you doing, bro?
Stadium. Officers were informed the weapon used had been tossed, with a witness stating it was in the bleachers. Officers discovered the folding knife, partially open and still bloody, deciding to cover it with a tarp. An officer grabbed a backpack to weigh the tarp down, noticing it was the only backpack from Centennial High, as all the others were from Memorial. It was later discovered this was the suspect's backpack. The victim,
But it could be
identified
crazy.
as 17-year-old Austin Metcalf, was a Memorial High student.
Oh, they from different schools.
The stadium was hosting a track and field championship with multiple schools in attendance.
They from
The
different
stabbing
schools.
took place under the Memorial High School pop-up tent in the visitors' bleachers. A witness would tell police he was sitting under the tent with his team and was near his teammate Austin as everything played out. Austin told the suspect, Karmelo, that he needed to move out from under their team's tent.
Oh, that changes everything. So you really wasn't supposed to sit there. You really wasn't supposed to sit there. Oh, my bad. That's on me.
Not only did Karmelo go to a different school, he
wasn't
under
supposed to
their
sit there.
tent wearing Centennial High clothing.
He wasn't supposed to sit there.
Karmelo grabbed his backpack, opened it, and reached inside, telling Austin, "Touch me and see what happens." The witness told officers no one really thought Karmelo had any weapons.
He wanted smoke. He wanted smoke, bro. He wanted smoke. He wanted smoke.
So Austin proceeded to touch Karmelo.
He thought
Karmelo
you know what I'm saying?
told Austin to punch him and see what happens.
Hey,
A short time later, Austin grabbed Karmelo to tell him to move, and Karmelo pulled out what the witness described as a black knife, stabbing Austin once in the chest
son.
before running away.
we stabbed him
Austin
once.
began grabbing his chest, telling everyone to get help, and shortly after, he'd lose consciousness,
Stabbed him in the chest.
and never wake up again.
Probably stabbed him in the heart,
found
bro.
breathing heavily and crying, one of which
That's
was
crazy.
identified as the victim's younger brother. He was unable to say much, but his friends
That's
said
crazy.
he was sitting on the bleachers under the Memorial High School tent. A male wearing a different school's clothes came and sat down, so Austin told him since he didn't go to Memorial, he had to leave the tent.
You had to leave the
While
tent, bro.
arguing, Austin was stabbed and the suspect ran. Austin's younger brother held on to his older brother as he lost
See, now that's like a whole different situation, bro.
consciousness, bleeding
That
out
technically
into his
is self-defense when you think
It
about
was
it. He's not supposed to be
10:46
there,
p.m. when
but
Austin
hey.
was brought into the trauma bay at the hospital. 7 minutes later, he was pronounced dead. His heart had been pierced.
See, I knew it.
He bled to death. Officers listed student witnesses from Lebanon High, Liberty High, Memorial High, Frisco High, Independence High, and Emerson High. Centennial High's head coach told officers he heard his athlete confess to the stabbing, while 2 coaches from Independence High School witnessed the stabbing. Karmelo Anthony would be charged with first-degree murder and transported to the Collin County Jail. Under Texas law, even at 17 years old, Karmelo could and would be charged as an adult.
Damn.
His bond would be set at $1 million. Immediately following his arrest, social media would divide black versus white. Some of the black community would come to the immediate defense of Karmelo,
I ain't gonna lie though.
stating it was purely self-defense and he...
See, because they didn't know the whole situation. Now that I know the whole situation, he wasn't supposed to be there, bro. He wasn't supposed to be there. He told him, you can't sit there. He felt threatened. He said, touch me, see what happens. He touched him.
Because of the fact that his victim
touched
was
him.
white. They'd also
touched him.
claim the victim in this case was the aggressor. While GoFundMe doesn't allow funding lawyers for criminal cases,
If he didn't touch them, he would
apparently
be cooked.
GiveSendGo does, and over $500,000 has been raised for Karmelo, with a list of donation comments raising concern amongst journalists. One anonymous donation would label Karmelo an anti-bullying hero, a scholar, and a gentleman. A donation
Because on the internet, they were saying, like, yo, he was being bullied. It doesn't look like he was being bullied, bro.
named Black
Doesn't look like he was being bullied.
Again,
It looked like he wasn't being bullied, bro.
Hateful whites show their insecurities and fragilities of losing dominance, sending love, light, and justice.
But he did put his hands on him,
King
though.
Karmelo. Rock from Atlanta would comment, "We are the defenders of our lineage. This is America, and these flat whiteness immigrants from all over the world has always been open enemies towards foundational black Americans from day one. No more." Some in the white community would also speak out, stating this wasn't self-defense, it was flat-out murder. Many would be enraged at the fact that Austin's killer was being praised for being black and killing a white. The donations spoke for themselves, literally, and many have also stated if the races were reversed and the victim was black, there would be riots and looting.
I ain't gonna lie, there might be riots and looting, but the last time we had riots and looting is the George Floyd situation. The George Floyd situation, he couldn't breathe and he kept on doing it. And the cop got set free.
Carmelo's actions in Austin
that shit was
was
crazy.
now being politicized and used by radicals on both sides to justify prejudice. In simpler terms, it didn't matter who was right or wrong because the ones speaking out don't care about Karmelo or Austin. They care about their own agenda.
That ass.
Things
You're not
will
lying.
up again on April 14,
You're not
2025,
lying.
when Judge Angela Tucker reduced Carmelo's bond from $1 million down to $250,000. She also agreed to release him based on his clean
10%.
criminal record and his athletic/academic background.
He's a good kid, good background. He ain't no thug. He's not a thug. He's not a thug.
Monitor and be supervised by a parent at all times. Judge Tucker's decision would cause her to receive violent and racist threats on social media, leaving her with no choice but to privatize her Twitter. Judge Tucker's personal security has also been temporarily increased as the FBI investigate anyone who released private or personal information about her, as they plan to charge those responsible with unlawful disclosure of a resident's address or telephone number and obstruction or retaliation. Karmelo and his family would also be targeted through death threats and harassment. People would visit his home, loitering and taking pictures, while others would make false...
This is actually crazy, bro. That's actually... What are you doing out here? What is your plan? What is your plan at that point? What is your plan? What is your plan, bro?
Food delivery
What is your
orders
plan?
and sent
Crash out back?
email, including Austin's obituary. It became common for people to circle the home in their vehicles to essentially provoke fear and intimidation. Karmelo's family would have no choice but to use donation funds to relocate to an undisclosed location. But this harassment wasn't one-sided. Frisco police would receive a phone call reporting a shooting at Austin Metcalf's father's home.
Nah, that's
Another
crazy.
shooting would be reported at his mother's home.
Nah, y'all wildin', bro.
3 times, all 3 being fake reports known as swatting,
Oh.
in which an anonymous person contacts police and they respond to what they believe to be a violent situation.
Come on, y'all gotta chill with that,
Swatting
bro.
has even led to innocent people being killed by police. Austin's father, Jeff, has been making headlines himself as he attempted to make peace with his son's killer's family and pray together at a press conference held for Karmelo. Instead, he was escorted out by police, with Karmelo's family apparently uninterested in making amends.
What we seen at the beginning of this press conference, the father being at this press conference, these are my words, don't quote anybody, is a disrespect to the dignity of his son. That was disrespectful and just shows you all the character who is not invited. He knows that it's inappropriate to be near this family.
No, he's just trying to make peace, bro. He's really trying to make peace for real. Like, get him searched, have a witness right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was trying to make peace and trying to get over this. Because he's really trying to get over this. He lost his son, bro. He's trying to get over it.
He's trying to
get over it.
Family,
I don't like that, bro. I don't like that. I don't like that, bro. It's always an outside party doing some funny shit, bro. It's always an outside party doing some funny shit. Look, outside party doing some funny shit. He probably trying to get some bread off this, bro.
Justice, political, civil, and
I don't like that, bro.
And supporter.
Because what if he was trying to show mad love? He was trying to get over it.
And slow way of speaking aligns with more of a gimmick from a man with an agenda. Come to find
I don't like
out,
that shit, bro.
has a long criminal history himself.
See, he's trying to get up
and served prison time for abusing a baby. Back in July of 2009, he was babysitting his girlfriend's 2-year-old son when he called her telling her to get home now. He didn't tell her why, and when she arrived, the child was unresponsive. He'd claimed he'd walked into another room.
You couldn't just go to a hospital?
Fall off the couch.
You couldn't go to a hospital?
When he walked back in, the boy's eyes looked funny, later telling a detective they rolled to the back of his head. The 2-year-old boy was placed in the intensive care unit and discovered
you couldn't go to the hospital?
Hemorrhage at the back of his head, meaning blood around his brain. He also had retinal hemorrhaging, meaning bleeding in both of his eyes. The severity of the boy's injuries were ruled inconsistent with falling off a couch and more consistent with abusive head trauma and physical abuse. Dominique would later plead guilty in this case. Dominique would address his multiple arrests from theft, forgery, stealing a car, making a false police report. The list goes on.
He's a con artist type shit.
Social media would try to shame him, but ended up showing his testimony. That when he first stepped into activism in 2014, he didn't hide who he was, and he was even named Person of the Year for the Dallas Observer's People Edition in 2000.
So he probably changed.
But in 2019,
he didn't change.
Was arrested for striking and pushing his girlfriend.
Dominique Alexander, the founder of the Next Generation Action Network, was indicted today on a charge of continuous violence against the family. That's a third-degree felony. He was arrested back in April after his girlfriend, Kiera Saunders, told police Alexander assaulted her. However, in an affidavit filed before today's indictment, Saunders says she doesn't want any part of the prosecution.
Regardless, this was the face of Karmelo Anthony's family. A man who's
That's crazy, bro.
Speaking against so-called racist police.
Why is he there, bro?
Black man. He was now taking this opportunity to make Karmelo the victim who had to defend himself against his white attacker. So let's look at the facts. Karmelo was an athlete from Centennial High. During a track and field competition, he chose to sit under an opposing school's tent. Austin was an athlete from Memorial High and confronted Karmelo about being under his
he wasn't supposed to be there.
Austin would grab Karmelo's backpack, telling him to leave, and
but he put hands on bro.
Eventually pushed Karmelo, while Karmelo
now it's self-defense.
Would grab his backpack, reaching inside, telling Austin, "Touch me and see what happens."
Oh, so he touched him already. And back had Had his arm in his backpack and said, touch me, see what happens. Nigga touched him.
Austin would continue, which led to
There you go.
Karmelo pulling out a knife and stabbing him.
Yeah, you gonna win that.
Now, my boy JD DeLay would break down Texas self-defense laws perfectly.
Constitutes lawful self-defense. It's all going to depend on what state you're in because each state has different laws.
Yeah, it does.
So for the sake of relevant current events, let's talk about the state of Texas. The state of Texas has the best self-defense laws out of any state in the country. They have stand your ground laws, which means that you do not have to retreat. You're allowed to defend yourself if somebody threatens or physically harms you. But you're only allowed to use proportional violence. So if somebody's coming at you with hands and you shoot them, you could be in a lot of trouble. All depends on the valid and articulable threat that was there at the time. If somebody's coming after you with a gun or a knife, then you are definitely in your realm to be able to use lethal force. However, this does require that you did not instigate the incident and that you are not somewhere that you are not supposed to be. You instigate the incident. If you are somewhere you don't belong or if you use excessive force, self-defense is out the window.
Yup, and that he did all three of them shit, so he probably in jail, bro.
Like I said, this is specifically applicable to the state of Texas and their laws, so know the law where you live. Might just save your life or keep your ass out of prison.
In this situation, not only was Karmelo somewhere he wasn't supposed
to be,
as
he threatened him.
Memorial High, and should have been with his own team, he was armed with a weapon he wasn't supposed to have. His mere presence during a competition could be seen as provoking an opposing school. After being confronted, Karmelo would reach in his bag saying, touch me and see what happens.
I ain't gonna lie, at that point I would have just backed up. He already got the backpack in his hand ready. I would have been good.
The fact that Karmelo
I would have been good.
If he was in fear for his life, he literally just could have
ran.
But
yeah,
in
that's fact.
your ground case, he doesn't legally have to. But Austin wasn't threatening to kill, use a weapon, or even beat him. He was telling him to leave. So Karmelo using deadly force as self-defense seems very unjustified. But also telling someone touch me and see what happens can qualify as instigating the incident.
It could.
If a gang member walks to a rival gang's territory with an illegal weapon, daring a rival gang member to touch him so he can legally kill him, that doesn't qualify as self-defense. So if an opposing athlete sits in an opposing team's area with a concealed weapon and stabs someone when confronted, I don't see how he can claim self-defense.
Yeah, he can't.
Would show emotion, hysterically crying after the incident, even asking if Austin was okay. This shows compassion. And while a former FBI agent claims from her experience Karmelo was using an insane Vice Lord's gang sign while holding an AK-47, the full picture would show Karmelo at a friend's house holding a BB gun in which the orange tip has been removed. No more extreme than Austin and his brother holding real guns.
Damn.
Karmelo wasn't a
Damn.
He came from
he had a job too. That's crazy.
In an affluent area. He held a job at a kid's Foot Locker.
That's tough.
Captain of the football.
He had a job at high school. I wish I had a job at high school.
And track team. Should he have had a knife? No. But how many teen boys have carried pocket knives?
See, I was one of them niggas. I had a box cutter. I was one of them niggas.
Just because he's black doesn't mean he was looking to stab someone that day.
He was looking to protect himself.
I think teenage
he felt threatened.
Ego led to an irreversible decision.
Yeah, facts.
I think regret and compassion should weigh on the scale of justice. I don't think Karmelo is innocent of murder, but I also don't think he placed himself there with the intent to kill. Looking at their athletic stats, Austin was 6 foot tall and 220 pounds, while Karmelo was 5'10", 175 pounds. Karmelo,
so he's a bigger dude. He's a bigger dude.
To a weapon out of fear, but I don't believe
he's a bigger dude.
For his life. I believe he feared he'd get beat up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think this.
Yeah, it's not enough though.
Meets the legal qualification.
Not enough though.
Someone in self-defense.
Not enough.
I also
he's
feel
gone.
Self-defense won't stand because he provoked Austin by
saying,
touch me and see what happens.
But he touched him first, so does that count?
He then said, hit me and see what happens. It would be different if he displayed the knife and told him he's prepared to defend himself.
But he didn't.
In the end, a teenage athlete died while another faced prison. And countless people with nothing better to do are using this
That's what it invented.
political agendas.
Yeah.
Now, this case is tragic, controversial. There's a lot of elements to this case, right? And it's going to be difficult for them to find jurors that haven't been swayed by the media in this situation. The biggest topic with this is going to be race and racism.
No, I ain't gonna lie.
You have Dominique Alexander, the spokesperson for the family, who used the roughly 40 minutes of the press conference to basically race bait and
Yeah.
play
That shit
the
dumb.
role as a black man in America, while not confronting his 20 to 30 arrests and the fact that his only victims from physical crimes seem to be a baby boy and
That's crazy. That's crazy.
right? That's what
He's trying to get up on him. He's trying to get up on him.
For abusing the baby, and both of them in that situation were black. But he chooses to now classify himself as an activist and only goes after situations involving white people, which we also
crazy.
see with Black Lives Matter. They only speak out when a white person is involved. This situation is being blown out of proportion by
That shit's
radicals
crazy, bro.
on both sides. And Austin's father, who tried to
Make amends, and he said nah.
with dismissal, he has even expressed to white radicals that are trying to push this white agenda.
And he's saying, stop, don't do that shit. But
Look, I don't believe in y'all's bullshit. This isn't
you bring
a
other
race
people
thing.
into
This is
shit.
two teenagers and something unfortunate that happened. But I'm not siding with racists. I'm not siding with bullshit. I'm just trying to get over the fact that my son was killed. And he was killed
as he's trying to get it over with.
who was scared. You know what I mean? And that's essentially what I think happened. I think that Karmelo was scared, but I don't think that fear is enough to justify stabbing somebody in the
It's
head.
not, though.
In my opinion.
It's not.
How I think this case will play out, how it should play out, and how it will play out are two different things. I think based on all of the evidence, him admitting to it, the fact that he showed compassion, the fact that, he's a flawless student, he's an athlete, maybe that this, at best would get brought down to a manslaughter type of offense. I don't know the legalities in Texas, how that would work if they have a manslaughter charge. This was a heat of the moment type of thing. I don't think he had the intent to kill. I also don't necessarily see him flat out beating this.
Yeah, I don't see him beating it either.
Because of the
I don't
political
see it either.
agendas being pushed into this case and the fact that
I don't see him beating it.
Karmelo now has over $500,000 to play with as far as his legal defense.
He could win.
You might
Or he
see
could just
him
get some
walk
community service.
Crazy amount of probation. or
That ass. I said the same shit when I heard about this. Like, he can get mad community service. He could probably just go up to schools and say, if you're being bullied, go speak to somebody. Stuff like that. Little stuff like that, bro.
Due to the fact that he has no criminal history, he has a lot of money to afford a defense, and this case is being politicized. And we've seen, it's become a norm in certain inner cities that it's racist to put high bonds on minorities, even if people are running around shooting people. So we've seen people get caught with guns, shoot people, etc., bond out, and then kill somebody, and then the city is like, well, why the fuck did he get let out? Well, it's like, well, because it's racist if we don't let him out. I'm pretty sure we can also all agree that if the case was reversed and this was a white team that killed a black team, there'd be a whole...
It would look crazy. It would look crazy.
And
It would look crazy.
the,
It would look crazy. So crazy.
That's the problem right now that everyone's having, is that now they're saying that there is black privilege in which $500,000 has been raised, and people are openly praising Karmelo's actions for
that's crazy.
killing a bully.
Because they thought he was a bully.
If the roles were reversed, it would play out entirely different. I don't think Karmelo...
And I thought he was a bully too, but he wasn't a bully. He's just letting you know you're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here, bro. I didn't know about that.
I don't think he should be punished as if he is. And I don't think he should be portrayed as one either. I've had pocket knives since I was like 10 years old, bro. I've brought him to school. Cool, you show him to your friends. Whatever. Like, that's normal shit. That's not some crazy out of bounds thing. He took a picture with a BB gun. They tried to frame it to make it look like he had an AK. He's throwing up gang signs. Bro, I done seen NBA players throw shit up. Everybody
throws it up,
cool, right? That doesn't mean he's a fucking insane vice lord. And then it's no different when you look at the two brothers with real guns and camo gear because they're country boys, and one of them's throwing a middle finger. It's the same thing, bro. People are just trying to portray this to fit their narrative, and that's the fucking issue with America. At the end of the day, the kid shouldn't have stabbed him, but he fucking showed compassion. He broke down hysterically crying. He asked if he was gonna be okay. This isn't a bad kid. He made a bad fucking mistake, and he's gonna have to answer to that. But hey, it's 1090 Jake. Drop y'all's thoughts in the comments section.
That's a good video, bro. Good video, 1090 Jake. I didn't even know that was his stuff. I never really be watching this shit. I be hearing this stuff. But if you made it to the end of the video, make sure you hit that like button, bro. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see y'all next video.